But it's weird because every time I hear a record, especially after it's done, like, I mean, it's cool. None of them ever sound the same, pretty much. And we've always been a live band, So you take all the songs from all the records, and when we put it in our set, and you watch us, it all makes sense. Like, oh wow, this sounds great, because we've been more of a live band than a studio band, if that makes any sense. So the real true capture of our essence and everything of our show is live.
Greetings, Legion. Welcome to episode 295 of Into the Necrosphere. This week, I am chopping it up with a living legend. Roger Miret from Agnostic Front is my guest this week, and we are talking all about their new album, Echoes in Eternity. It gets released on November the 7th through Reigning Phoenix Music. Of course, November the 7th is this coming Friday. We also got to talk about the Godfathers of Hardcore documentary that he was a feature star in. We spoke about a couple of other topics. A bit of limited time, as I mentioned last week when I spoke about him being on the show. I only had 30 minutes to talk to him, which, of course, as you all know, is not quite my style. But it was great to speak to him all the same. I've wanted him on the podcast for ages. Glad I finally got to do so. And that conversation is going to be coming your way very shortly. Before we get to that, as always, we have us a slab of unsanctioned filth. This week, we travel all the way to Bozeman, Montana to check out a band called Galvanist. They feature amongst their ranks a couple of long-serving members of the Legion. They've got a brand new single out, which I absolutely loved. I think you guys are going to like as well. This is a song called Atrophy. Galvanist out of Bozeman, Montana, coming your way with a track called Atrophy, kicking us off this week. If you like what you heard, you can check that track out on Bandcamp. You can also check out their previous releases, including Connection, their debut full-length that came out back in 2022. And, of course, if you're in an unsigned band, you've just put your last penny into your best ever recording and you can't wait for me to hear what it sounds like, drop me a line on intothenecrosphere@gmail.com. Hit me up on Facebook, X, or Instagram. And if I like what I hear, I will feature it on the show. I'll also feature it on intothenecrosphere.com when that website launches, and that is coming very, very soon. So keep your little eyes peeled. You should be aware by now, but in case you're not, I'm going to remind you, I am a card-carrying member of the Horsemen of the Podcasting Apocalypse, the Cosa Nostra of podcasting, dedicated to bringing you high-quality entertainment from Monday to Sunday. Every Monday, we start your week with a fresh dose of Horrorwolf 666. That is brought to you by the inimitable Brandon Legion. Yours truly casts hexes and slays poses right here on Into the Necrosphere every Tuesday. On a Wednesday, we got your first double shot. Everything Went Black, hosted by Tombs frontman Mike Hill. We also have Iblis Manifestations. That comes courtesy of my brother from another mother, the Middle Eastern Marauder Cheyenne from the band Trivax. Your second double shot comes your way on a Thursday. We've got Necromaniacs featuring a returning Mike Hill. He is also joined by his co-hosts Sheriff Mike Scondado and the Professor Jeff Kashid. They review new and old horror movies, one of my very favorite podcasts of the week and one you dare not miss. And then also on a Thursday and again on a Sunday, we have the Sinister Minister, the Reverend Carl Haikara, giving you a curated tour through the dark, the weird, the arcane, and the esoteric with his podcast, Soul Knocks. When I'm done talking to Roger, don't move a muscle, because we are going to be checking out some new bands, some metal news headlines on the Weekly News Rant, including talking about Megadeth covering a Metallica track for their Farewell album. We're going to check out new tracks by Paganizer, Samael, Lichgate, Hellripper, Miasmata, and more. That is coming your way later on in the show, but first, sit back and welcome to Into the Necrosphere for the very first time, Roger Miret from Agnostic Front. So welcome to the show, Roger, and thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. Like I said to you before we started, the first time we ever spoke was January 2005, which feels like a fucking lifetime ago.
It is 22 decades ago.
I know. It's absolutely insane. Like, I still remember the day that I heard Another Voice, and obviously before that, I mean, I think my first taste of Agnostic Front, I think, was actually Something's Got to Give. So, you know, because I'm a bit younger, but I remember hearing that and then just getting into everything that Agnostic Front had done prior and post. Got to say, our mutual friend Curtis sent me the album a couple of days ago, Echoes in Eternity. Easily the hardest collection of songs you guys have done, I would say, since Another Voice. It actually has, to me, like sonically, I kind of get the same almost youthful energy that you have that you had in Another Voice and in Warriors. How do you feel about the record, you know, as we're kind of on the eve of it being released now?
Well, it's funny you bring up those two records. I'm going to get to that. Sonically, I mean, and everything, the whole start of the record to the finish of the record. First of all, I feel great about the record. I love the record, but a lot of it was a visual. Like, we actually had our friend Mike DeJean, who is the producer, and he was producing from day one. I mean, he was involved with everything, every single part of the spectrum, from the writing to the lyrical part, to the behind the knobs, to the cover, to the videos, to the finishing sound. And why I want to get to that is because, you know, he was looking for specific sounds, specific clarity with the vocals and all kinds of stuff. And then he was going to put it all in the hands of Zeus. And those two records you mentioned were produced and mixed by Zeus.
Yeah, I remember.
And Zeus has a way with, you know, incredibly great mixer. So when Zeus was getting this record, first of all, he was excited to get it because Craig Silverman was playing guitar. and Craig Silverman is one of his favorite guitar players. So he was like excited to do a record that had one of his favorite guitar players on it. He knew it was going to sound, the sound had to be great, you know, guitar wise. He knew he was going to get something good. And then when he heard it, he was just blown away. He was like, these actual sounds you got are amazing. I could do so much with it. So he took it to that next level with everything. So it's funny you mentioned those two records that were produced and mixed by Zeus, and it was kind of like given to him for that reason. We knew he could do an incredible mix with it, and he did. He opened it up, made it sound huge, made it sound great, still making it sound, you know, fresh for the time, and also bringing back some of that elements of, like, you know, everything of Agnostic Front, you know?
It's got that really brute force manly edge of Another Voice and Warriors as well. Like, those two albums to me always, even though you don't necessarily play as many songs off them live, I always felt like, and I've seen you guys live many times now, but I always felt like those songs captured the spirit of what it's like to see you play live. Like, even if they're not, even if you don't have them or as many of those tracks on the set list, like the vibe I've always felt like seeing you guys on stage, it was like those albums capture it, and this one absolutely nails it as well.
Well, it's when you say that, like, it's weird because this is our 13th studio album, and we have like 3 or 4 live albums, you know. But it's weird because every time I hear a record, especially after it's done, like, I mean, it's cool. None of them ever sound the same, pretty much. And we've always been a live band, you know. So you take all the songs from all the records, and when we put it in our set, and you watch us, it all makes sense. Like, oh wow, this sounds great, because we've been more of a live band than a studio band, if that makes any sense. So the real true capture of our essence and everything of our show is live, you know. And that being said, you know, those records and even this record does have a really kind of cool, I don't want to say raw, but I want to say it has a kind of a cool sound that you could picture it live. You could picture like, this is what it's going to sound like live, where sometimes you'll get a record and then you have to go see the band live to actually get with it. And we do play songs from Another Voice. We still do Peace. From Warriors, what's the big song of Warriors we still do? For My Families and Warriors, I think.
For My Family is Warriors.
We do a couple from that, but, you know, being that we have 13 albums, we do gotta cater to a lot of the different albums here. Yeah. Play a little bit of everything. You know, sometimes we don't play anything of one song, but, you know, we do what we feel like maybe is what people want to hear.
And there's certain Agnostic Front songs, like, if you didn't have Friend or Foe on the set, there'd probably be a riot.
Right. And, you know, we do have different sets for different, like, for example, when we go to different countries, we play different sets. I mean, like, we go to Europe, we have a specific a set like we kind of play, because most you know, Europe is very broad with listening to everything, you know. Like, when we come to America, when we play America, we want to play a lot of different stuff too, but they just want to hear Victim in Pain, Cause for Alarm, you know. And then we'll tease them, we'll throw Peace, we'll throw For My Family, we'll throw a couple of them in, but the majority of the U.S. tour stuff is older stuff. The majority of European tour is newer stuff. And when we go to South America, it's a good blend. And, you know, like vice versa, you know.
Over the years, how have the audiences evolved? Because, I mean, you came from an era where, and you guys were very unique in this era, because you sort of crossed the gap, you know, for a lot of other bands. I mean, that hardcore metal divide, you know, you guys are one of the pioneers of doing that. But the audiences themselves, you know, since if you go back to the 80s through the 90s, the 2000s to now, how have you found the audiences have evolved and changed in those different regions, as you were mentioning earlier?
Well, you know, it always feels great to see people age with us and always grow with the band, and the band means a lot to them, you know. Audiences are weird, you know. Sometimes you go out there and things are really big, and it's like a roller coaster ride. Like, you'll go to a city, you just had the greatest big show, you go back next, it's okay, and then you go back, it's great, it's big again. I mean, there's a lot of people that aren't as passionate about stuff as we are, so sometimes it's just a fad or just a moment. and then they grow out of it, or they're on to different things, whatever. But the ones that do stay with us and grow with us, those crowds truly enjoy everything about it, And there's a people that are very passionate for the music, not just Agnostic Front, just in general, for any that genre or different metal genre or whatever. These people are they and the Europeans really grow with you. And I saw some of that too. I saw some of that here in America, especially after the film The Godfathers of Hardcore. There was a lot of people coming out and people bringing their parents and stuff like that. And now the parents oh, I understand now, because they thought our music was just as loud, chaotic, crazy, cult kind of nut stuff. And then they see the film, they're oh, now I understand my son or my daughter. It's just, the first interpretation is insane. It's like judging a book by its cover. Yeah, we get judged by its cover all the time until you come to the show, you meet us, you meet the people, and you realize you're having a great time, and you feel like you belong.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I would say and like I said, I think I've seen you guys about 15, 16 times. It's got a family atmosphere, but it's also really intense at the same time. It's a very, very unique vibe to see you guys play live.
Well, we like that, we like to welcome everyone. We like everyone to leave with good memories or had a good time, really, I want everybody to get home safe, that's really, and enjoy the time, enjoy the songs, sing along, and just, have a great time. It's I don't see why anybody would not want that, but there's a lot of bands that are chaotic, and so a lot of bands don't really care. They just go do the show. You can feel it. You can feel like they're not really into it or something like that. They're just getting through it, but we enjoy it.
What's kept that passion, because it's I think we're now in decade 4. So what's kind of been the spark that's kept things going, for you, for Vinny, for the rest of the guys?
Well, I like to say, when you get into something, you get into it. You got into punk, you got into metal, you got into hardcore. For me, it felt like it got into me. It was different. When it got into me, it's like this inner explosion. I need more. I want to be fed more. I love this. It's like a dedication to something. I hate to say lifestyle, because Adidas is a lifestyle, and there's all kinds of lifestyles. It's just a passion and a dedication within. I love doing what I'm doing. I love meeting people. I love traveling the world. I like to perform. It's just, it feels good. It's a good feeling for me. It's a good form of at this point, therapy, if you want to call it. It's a good outlet for me. It's just good in so many ways. And, sometimes you sit back and you go through these turmoil times where you feel like you're on repeat, or oh, is it ever going to get any better? Or, blah, blah, blah. And you start realizing, you start how grateful it is to be where you are. To me, I've sat back and think, my purpose in life or my rewards isn't going to be a money thing or a fame thing. I think I was here to help people get through tough times, overcome oppression, and get through oppression. I'd probably make a good speaker if I wanted to do that, but I am doing that with my band, so it just feels good to get people through hard times, because I went through hard times, and very few people got me through those hard times, and it just feels good.
It's actually a nice segue into talking about the Godfathers of Hardcore, because I think it's one of the best music documentaries I've ever seen. 2, the thing that really comes screaming out of that documentary at you that is genuinely touching is the friendship between you and between Vinny. But also, obviously, there's the piece around your health, which I know has been an ongoing struggle for you. From first question, how are you feeling these days, and how's your health doing?
I'm feeling great. I mean, since that film, I went through hell. Besides the pandemic coming and doing major destruction to the world, where everybody lost pretty much 2 years of their life, you could probably write it off, But I got hit with cancer too, So I am grateful to be good, to be alive, and when I went through the cancer stuff, the outreach of people and support was just amazing. It felt good to like, wow, to read all the comments and read stuff. I felt like, it felt rewarding in a way. My health is great right now. I get checked every 6 months. So, I feel good. So that's the most important thing. The actual film, The Godfathers, which you brought up, is an incredible documentary. I was blown away when I first saw it. We gave full freedom to the director, to Ian McFarlane, to do what he wants with it. And no bands do that. They want to see, they want to be, they want to micro manage stuff. We're like, you know what? He really felt like he wanted to do something right. Let's give him the full thing. And for 2 or 3 years while he was putting it together, I never saw anything. One day he called me, invited me to go to Boston. Come see it. It's done. I flew there. I sat in this little theater by myself, and it was a roller coaster ride of emotions. I was laughing. I was crying. It was so heartfelt, and it was so cinematically beautiful to watch. It was nothing like I've ever seen before of a documentary. And you don't even have to like the band to like the film. You know what I mean? It was just like, it was just a different thing. And I told him, don't touch it, leave it alone. It's beautiful. And it played for 2 years here in America on Cinemax, and it's still available on all kinds of stuff, and then it just brought in, a lot of people started watching. Now, what is this documentary? And yeah, it's like I said, the music might not be for you, but the story is something that you could relate to. And it's a beautiful story. It was extremely well directed. It's beautiful to look at. And it was very inspirational for myself later on in my life. After my book came out about the same time, which My Riot, which complements the actual film, which is really cool. You're tapping more into it. And then recently I released another book, which is called With Time, which is a visual look at Agnostic Front. And very inspirational to me was the film, because it was so beautiful. I'm like, I got to do another beautiful visual look at something. And that was all in my mind. Like, it's got to be as beautiful of a visual book as the film was as a visual watch. So it's very inspirational to me. I think it's a beautiful film. And I'm not saying it because we're in it. I think there's no documentary like it. I think it's definitely, definitely moved the par up to like what a documentary is,
Yeah. Was it, did it feel strange to allow that degree of freedom to a filmmaker? Like, did you guys know Ian before the documentary started?
Yeah, we knew Ian, and we'd done a bunch of videos with Ian. Some of the videos you like for example, what videos we did. One of them, we did For My Family video with him. We also did the addiction video with him. And we did that live at CBGB's 2004 thing. Like, it was a mini documentary right before the live record, which is really cool to watch because it's a little documentary, like kind of interviews more like. But he's one of us. He comes from our genre music. So we kind of I had a lot of trust in him. I didn't think he would do anything I wouldn't like, but I thought I would have to at least, maybe take this out, do that. Man, when I saw this thing, I was like, man, there is nothing needs to be touched. This thing is incredible. Like, he did an amazing job.
Yeah, and he was there for some, incredibly intense and incredibly intimate moments, which, I think especially for a man, if we're very honest, that can be quite disconcerting, especially a man of a certain persuasion. Like I remember when I met you backstage, I remember you introduced me to Vinny, and it has always stuck with me. The first thing I thought to myself was, this is one of the most intense cats I've ever met in my life. You do not fuck with this guy. And I've never forgotten that. But like, I when I was watching the documentary, I thought to myself, like, man, like it must have been strange for you guys to allow that amount of freedom in the midst of all this drama unfolding, which you would expect was not. I mean, it's not pre-planned.
No, the thing is, the only thing Ian asked from us, and we gave it to him, was just be genuine, just be yourselves. Let me tell a story. There's no need to anybody to say anything, do anything, act anything. And that's what we were. He just tagged along. He came here to Arizona, stayed with me for a week, stayed with my family, did things with me, shot full freedom, shoot. Did the same thing with Vinny. Went on tour with us in America, a little couple of shows here and there. Went to my mom's house, my family's house. Went to Europe with us, and we just let him do what he was doing. We didn't bother him or anyone about it. And we just yeah, we were anxious to see the damn thing. We're like, when is it going to be done? Because we want to see it, you know. And but it was well worth the full wait.
Did you see an effect or an impact on the audience numbers after that?
Yeah, of course. You know, I mean, of course, you know, there was people, like, not only just regular people coming out, not regular people, but I'm just saying, like, our fans who've gotten older, for example, now we're showing up with their parents. And then we're meeting them and their parents like, oh, this is my mom. And she'd be like, oh, I saw your film, like, you know, just random. Or my dad saw your film. Like, you know, I never understood my son playing that loud, crazy music. Cult. I thought it was a cult. And now I do, you know, like, they just, that was eye-awakening for a lot of people, family. And they understood why, you know, all these things that they're thinking, you know, your kids going through some crazy stuff and they listen to some wild, crazy music, but they don't understand that there's a message behind what we had to say. And there was a true friendship, a true meaning, something you felt like you could be a part of, and they got it. You know, it was really cool. And of course, you know, a lot of people came out to see us afterwards because they loved the film and they wanted to just come out, you know.
And that's the thing, you know, your music, I think, has always cut across so many different boundaries because it is the core of it is, you know, family, friendship, loyalty, and I think empowerment is a key one. You know, you think about Warriors, the song "By My Side" I have listened to thousands of times, and it's just something that just captures everything that I love about Agnostic Front so perfectly well. And like the Agnostic Front message and experience to me is just summarized in that song.
Yeah, and for example, the song "Warriors" itself is like, it's basically about all of us, written about all of us, you know. And then "For My Family" was an interesting song. We wrote that, I wrote that actually between a flight Japan and Australia. And I was on a plane. I started writing the lyrics and I started writing the song. And then when we landed in Australia, when we went to the hotel room, I said, guys, I got this song and it goes like this, you know, humming it, whatever. And then I started this song and it was almost left out of the album, which is bizarre. Like,
very bizarre,
dude. It was crazy, dude. I went to the recording at Zeus, and I show up and I'm singing all songs. Like, what happened to "For My Family"? Oh, we don't think it's as good or as strong. I'm like, are you crazy? You know? And I'm like, that song has to be in. Get everybody back here. They're recording it. We're doing it, and I'm glad I did. You know?
Yeah. Just we were talking about your friendship with Vinny earlier. Obviously, that's a focal point of Godfathers of Hardcore. What was your first meeting like with him? Can you remember how, you know, can you remember much about the first meeting and what your first impressions were of him?
You know, I'm going to encourage a lot of people to, if they really want to know a lot about Agnostic Front or my life, I'm going to encourage you to look at the books out of print, but it's available here and there. It's called Miret, a book I wrote, and it tells a lot of really great stories, especially about me and Vinny. Vinny was a guy I just observed from the top of the what club was that? Not the Mud Club. I was at the I can't remember. It'll come to me. 40-something Street. Anyway, it'll come to me. And then he was just going against a pit. I was like, who is this crazy guy with this little mall going against the pit as the Stimulants are playing with the professionals? And it was like, oh, whatever. And then he started coming to my shows because I was in a band called The Cycles, and we were kind of at the same time as Agnostic Front. And, you know, the scene wasn't big back then. The scene was like the real scene, you know, not when a big band showed up, but the real scene was like you get 30 people, whatever, you know, for the real late night shows, whatever. And Vinny was one of those people that would always come out and love the Cycles and was out there, you know. And, you know, I would do the same thing with Agnostic Front, but I'm not the original singer of Agnostic Front, you know. So I came in a little bit later. So he was a very big supporter of my band, the Cycles, which we ran about the same time frame, you know. Then he asked me to join he didn't ask, he got two guys to ask me to join the band. And then I went back there. He goes, yeah, I really want you to be in the band, because he picked me out and told them to get him, because he would pick people out by people that were in the pit and stuff like that. And the rest is history, you know. It was just, you know, he was always, Vinny's a great person. Vinny will talk to a dog. He'll talk to a stranger. He has brought strangers to my house. I'm like, what are you doing, dude? You can't bring this guy to my house and leave him here. Oh, I had someone to talk to. I'm like, we don't know this guy. Who is this guy? He met him at the at the Staten Island Ferry, and the guy went with him on a bus to my house. I mean, a random guy, you know, and then like he just is out of his mind, you know. But he's got a good heart, and you know, if anybody is very passionate about this and has lived their life to an extreme, the way they wanted to, their life without no obstruction, it's Vinny. That guy has lived life to the fullest, and he still is.
Well, the interesting thing, seeing live clips of you guys, recent live clips, you know, there's still so much fucking energy, movement on stage. I was going to ask you, I mean, as you've gone on in years, how does it feel for you, you know, playing on stage now versus what it was like 20 years ago? Because you're still a hard touring band.
Well, you know, like I say, we're very passionate about it and we love it, and that's why we enjoy it. You know, it's like it's kept me youthful, it's kept me young in a way. Not only physically but mentally. Like it feels great to hit the stage and just go. And nothing's ever planned. It's just as soon as we hit that first note, it's go time. It's always been that way. It's just what happens, you know. And of course, we're getting older. I'm getting older too. But I feel still very youthful. I'm still jumping around. I'm still running around side to side. I'm still moving. I'm still getting people to do stuff. Vinny's still jumping in the cross. Vinny's still getting circle pits. Vinny's in there, you know, like we love it, man. It's just simple. Like, this is our life. This is something we truly enjoyed. And, you know, and you see it. You can see that when you come see Agnostic Front. You can feel like it's something genuine and something real. I mean, who wants to be a part of something that doesn't feel real or doesn't feel genuine? You come to our show, you're like, hey, I belong here. I want to come to the next show. I had a great time. And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, it reflects in this new record as well, like especially in this new record for me. You know, and you threw a couple of surprises our way as well. One in particular being Daryl McDaniels from Run DMC on Matter of Life and Death. How did that come about?
Daryl's a big fan. Let's go back to the film. Daryl loved the Godfathers of Hardcore. He always like, he said, bro, Rod, when I saw the Godfathers, I was like, man, we were living parallel lives. You know, we're doing hip hop, you're doing hardcore, but we had the same message. We're doing the same things, you know. And he just loved the film. He loves Agnostic Front is his favorite hardcore band. He comes to the shows. You can hear him coming. He's like yelling, "Stay, bro!" You know, he just loved it. And he says, "I want to do a song with you," you know. And initially, I was going to do a song with him, but we were busy. We're traveling, we're touring, and then we started writing an album. I mean, look, I'm busy now, but tell you what, we'll do it soon. And we wrote this song. We're like, man, this is perfect for Daryl to come and do his thing. So we hit him up. I call him and say, hey, we got a song. You want to come do it? He goes, yeah, I'm there. I'm like, oh, I'll do my parts. We'll send it to you. We'll tell you what the song's about. You got full freedom again to do whatever you want within the lyrical content. You feel it. And he did that. He came to the studio. He did 2 takes. The first one was great. Didn't need to do it again. And he freestyled, did it right there on the spot. And then he did the second one, and which was the keeper. And he sang the backups. And then when he was done, he loved it. And he's like, man, when are we doing the video? I'm like, you want to do a video too? He goes, yeah. So we just shot the video. This Tuesday, the video comes out. It's incredible, the video. It's awesome to be in a video with him. And he's still not satisfied. He's like, when do I get to sing it live? When do we play? I said, well, we're going to be playing December 6th for Vinny's birthday party. He's, let's do it. I'm there. So now he's going to come sing it with us. You know, he's got this youth. He's got the same kind of attitude and passion and feel about it. You can see him when he's, if you follow him, King DMC on Instagram, he's always doing stuff. He loves rock. He loves heavy music, and he's out there. He just loves life. He's like a Vinny in a different character. Really cool. Really great guy. We love him, and we're grateful that he did this with us, you know, and he's grateful to be. He always says, man, Roger, thanks for taking my phone call, man. I was gonna stand in front of New York Hawk Tattoos and wouldn't let nobody in until Vinny showed up, you know. You know, and he meant it.
It's interesting what he mentions there about living parallel lives, though, because there was, I think, especially in the early days, a lot of parallels between hip hop and hardcore. What are your thoughts on how those two cultures have evolved? And like, if you think of like modern hardcore, modern hip hop versus the old school, I do feel like they've diverged a little bit. But I'm keen to get your take on it.
Within its own scene, you know, like like I like the earlier hip hop, of course, grew up with it around New York City and stuff, and there was a really good message behind it, and then it became like more of your gangster stuff and stuff that was, when it got to calling people bitches and hoes, you lost me. I have a lot of respect for women and my mom and my daughters, and I'm like, the same thing with hardcore. Sometimes it's stuff that you lose me with is disrespectful here and there, but everybody's got their mission, their interpretation of whatever they're doing, and all good to them, whatever. But we grew up with that specific hip hop style, as Rakim, Eric.
I was literally just about to say the greatest of the great, Eric B. and Rakim.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, we grew up with all that. We grew up, in New York City. How could you avoid it? It was there the whole day. We saw the Beastie Boys do it. They were on Rat Cage Records with us. Their single came out like right before our Victim in Pain, or a little bit before. So it was a natural thing. And it was a great explosion, and what he did with Aerosmith was amazing. And honestly, there hasn't been a collaboration like this since, like, for example, Anthrax and Public Enemy. That was a great collaboration. Like, it's been a while, so it's kind of cool to come out with something like this fresh and see where it goes.
Yeah. I know we're at time, Roger, so I'm going to ask you one last question, and it's something I wanted to ask you, for a while. If, when you finally hang up your spurs with Agnostic Front, which sounds to me like it's a long way away, what is the one thing that you want to be remembered for?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. That's a weird question. Like, I mean, just remembered for like the passion and dedication and love we have for what we do, how committed we were for not just 1 decade, 2 decades, 3 decades. We're going on our 4th decade, and we're probably going to hit 5 decades or something like this. It takes a lot of commitment, love, and dedication to do what we do, and as genuine as we do it. So,
I'm about to say, especially at the level that you've been able to do it consistently.
So that is a great thing to be remembered by.
Yeah. Well, Roger, thank you so much for your time. Congratulations on a fucking killer record. I think anyone who's been into Agnostic Front for more than 5 years will be blown away by this. But for a long-time fan, to me, it kind of feels like the boys are back.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you very much, brother.
Cheers.
Way of War is the name of the song that you just heard. The band, of course, unmistakably Agnostic Front. That is taken from their upcoming album, Echoes in Eternity, due to drop this coming Friday, November the 7th, through Reigning Phoenix Music. I want to say a big thank you to Roger for his time. A very, very busy man. You're going to see quite a few Agnostic Front interviews dropping. None as brilliant as the one that you just heard, of course. But massive thank you to Roger. Great to have him on. Like I said, I wish I had had an hour, or hope ideally even more with him. I could have probably gone on talking to this dude for at least 2 hours. Just a great guy, an absolute legend. And once again, if you're into hardcore, this new Agnostic Front album, I think, is the best thing that they have put out since Something's Gotta Give. Easily. We got a little bit of time to kill before the weekly news rant, so I'm going to give you guys a taste of another band who I have been raving about and who I am trying to get on the podcast before we wrap up for 2025. Despised Icon out of Canada just dropped their brand new album Shadow Work this past Friday. I absolutely fucking love it. This is a band I've spoken about many times on the podcast. I'm not a deathcore fan, but these guys just do it right. They are a band that brought me out of mosh retirement way back when I first saw them live in kind of 2007, 2008. They're a killer live band, a killer band on record, and I'm about to prove it to all you naysayers. Off the new album Shadow Work, this is a song called Fallen Ones.
The truth buried within ourselves, an unbreakable spell into the void. Enter the dream, learning to escape, search to escape, believe the sky, enter to the need. Fallen ones, we pay tribute to those who bore the cross. Fallen ones, thrown together for wasted necessity. Fallen ones, a memory burning bright through the culture, sanctified from every single sin. A life's worth, the product of your suffering, foolishness, merit, and laughter. Fallen ones, a memory burning bright through the culture. I'm so devastated, competing with the sky. Listen to the thunder, ring of the chains. I'm so devastated. Give me the with the gates, the burning lights. A pillar of strength for us all. Your foundation collapsed. Relax, up against the land. Take to escape, believe the sky. Into the void. Give me the ascended from mortal to mystical. You've reached your final form. You're burning free. Sanctified from every single sin. A life's worth, the product of your suffering. Foolishness, merit, and laughter. Fallen ones, a memory burning bright through
hard as fucking nails. That was Despised Icon with Fallen Ones, the last track off their new album Shadow Work. Definitely something that you need to check out. I don't care what kind of music you're into. Mike Hill very accurately described this band as the sort of music you listen to when you're robbing a convenience store. I still think that's the best description for this band that I've ever heard. But like I said, got me out of mosh retirement. If you get to see them live, because they'll surely be touring on this new record, then absolutely do not miss them. But great record, one that I can almost guarantee you is going to feature on my top 30 of 2025. Now, speaking of which, we're going to dive into the Weekly News Rant. There may be another contender or two hidden away in some of the bands I'm going to be listening to, but before we get to that, if you're the kind of bedwetting geek who has to check in with the rest of his comrades on Facebook groups to find out how sketch a band is, then it's time for you to tighten up your huggies and hit the bricks, because this is my Weekly News Rant.
A roundabout for judgment. And hang them where the world can see.
All right, my friends, as always, we kick off on metalstorm.net, the finest metal news website in all the land. We are going to kick off with a new Creator single. And earlier this very day, my favorite grim German, Marco from Stellar Master Elite, sent me a note about this track. And I will paraphrase. He says, "Just when I thought they can't get more cringe," sends me the song. Now, I think he and I are reasonably aligned in our take on where Creator have gone low these many years. I mean, the last 2 decades have been a total fucking write-off as far as I'm concerned. My opinion on Hate Uber Alles is well known. That last single didn't exactly excite me either. But it says here, Creator have revealed a video clip for the newly streaming single Thronenplast. I'm going to assume that means Throne of what? Palace of Tears? Fuck knows. Who gives a shit? I'll see. When the song is playing, I'll have Google do a little translate, and we'll see what that means. It features a guest performance by Britta Gortz of a band called Haraz or Haraz. No idea who they are. The song is part of the band's forthcoming studio album, Crushers of the World, which one of the fucking dumbest album titles ever. Set to land in stores on January the 16th, 2026. Let's hear whether Marco was correct. So In fairness to Creator, that is not the worst thing that I've heard them do. I mean, basically every single song on Hate Uber Alice was 10 times worse than this. I would even go as far as to say I prefer this over the first single, although I do believe that, I mean, Marco definitely is onto something when he says this is cringe. The opening little bit of ballet music that they've got going there, the actual melody sounds like something that I've heard multiple times before. It's just one of those melodies, those riffs that the chord progression sounds completely and utterly predictable. As soon as it started playing, like you could almost hear exactly how it was going to pan out for the next, however many minutes. So, ultimately, I think this is basically on a par with the quality that we've come to expect from Creator. But if we were to go on a spectrum from ultra shit to just moderately disappointing, and maybe a little nearer to moderately disappointing. I mean, again, they're a fucking far cry, this band, from the mighty band they were once. They once were. The influential powerhouse that they once were. I thought that chorus, by the way, was also particularly harrowing. But again, I can see that there'll be some people that find it interesting and find it cool. Most likely, those are people that don't listen to this podcast, and when they get to the news rant, they don't know what to make of it. The other day, I was scouring Reddit, and I happened to stumble on a comment that somebody made where he actually said that he had listened to Into the Necrosphere for the first time. He specifically referenced the Bryce Leclerc interview that I did. For some bizarre reason, didn't enjoy the interview. Then got to the news rant, didn't understand what I was trying to do. I mean, I don't know what could be more clear. I read the headlines, maybe talk a bit of shit, give my opinion. We listen to some music. I tell you if I like the song or not. Sometimes I'm going to like a band a lot. Sometimes might even be your favorite band. I say the band sucks. But honestly, if you can't figure out what the goal of it is, and I mean, again, you can opt into listening to it or not, but if you don't understand what I'm trying to do here, you must be surely one of the stupidest human beings alive. Not to mention probably one of the biggest Dave Mustaine fans to ever walk the face of the earth. Speaking of which, Megadeth have announced the track list for their new album. They've also announced a Latin American tour. Megadeth have disclosed the full track list of what will be their final and self-titled album, Megadeth, set to be unleashed on the 23rd of January 2026. The band has also announced a string of shows in Latin America booked in April and May of 2026. Track listing we don't need to go through. The one that is particularly interesting, though, is the final song on the new record, which happens to be a cover of Metallica's Ride the Lightning. And interestingly, old Dave Mustaine himself spoke about this on the Megadeth YouTube channel. So let's hear what he had to say about this.
On the new album, we recorded Ride the Lightning, and the reason we did that was obviously it's the song that I had a lot to do with writing it. And James and I, when we were working on the song, it became clear to me when James first started playing guitar how good of a guitar player he was. And I thought it would be really cool to close the circle, to show respect, to play the songs that I've written with Metallica, and to honor our friendship, even though it's been strained and ruined from emotions over the years when we were not necessarily friendly. But one thing I've always had is I've always had a tremendous respect for James's guitar playing and Lars's songwriting. So it was cool to do this and add it to the record. We sped it up just a little teeny bit, and we kind of played around a little bit with the solo, and Timo and I both tossed it back and forth to each other. So you might hear a little bit of some differences with the tempos, and of course I sing different from James too, but once again, it was about completing the circle and just.
Wanted to pause there because anybody who's followed Dave for more than 5 minutes knows that where Dave Mustaine speaks, there's always some passive aggression just waiting, just aching to come out. And he has not waited long. So about 24 hours after this one dropped, after this little clip that he had recorded dropped, which, by the way, I mean, I'm not sure whether they're on tour right now or not. Maybe they're in the rehearsal room, but it looks like he's in the men's changing room and he's got his Megadeth wristbands on, trying to look like he's preparing for something massive. The dude really, I mean, he is the embodiment of the saying that man is ruled entirely by his own insecurities. 100%. Anyway, on Alternative Nation on Facebook, they posted a extract from an interview that he did with Rolling Stone. And he said that James Hetfield is yet to approve of Megadeth's cover of Ride the Lightning. Now he comments, and this is quoted directly from the article, it was not for lack of having the thought or the courage or anything like that. I know the last time James and I talked, we were talking about some business stuff, and I haven't spoken to him since. So I was hoping that we could get his approval on this before we released the track, but when it turned out the way that it did, I think there were so many people that were happy that we did this, that we just went for it. And I'll be more than happy to talk to him when I get the opportunity, but I don't have his number anymore. Now, you can call me cynical. How many of you suspect, as I do, that it feels to me in the back of his mind, whether consciously or subconsciously, Dave is workshopping the idea that he's going to come out and say the reason why James and Lars won't endorse his version of Ride the Lightning is because his version is better. He plants the seed in that video when he says they sped it up, the guitar solo is a bit different, and my voice is different. And then you've got that bit in there in that Alternative Nation or that Rolling Stone interview where he is saying that, it's not for not wanting to try, not for lacking the courage. If he wanted to get in touch with James, I mean, Jesus Christ, being the man that he is, I'm pretty sure it's a text message or a phone call away, even if he doesn't have James's number anymore. James is not that hard to get in touch with if you're Dave Mustaine, that he wouldn't have been able to reach out to him and get his approval. This is just yet another angle, much like this farewell tour. The farewell tour was announced, and I said this when Mike Scandato was on the News Rant. The farewell tour was announced so that he gets the jump on Metallica. And I'll tell you what, he also wants to get the jump on Metallica when it comes to announcing the comeback album, because that's definitely happening. And by the way, just a thought that I had, over under, you guys can drop me a note in the comments and tell me what you think. I'm going to predict Metallica call time, at least for the first time, because I personally don't think either of these two bands are going to be retiring on farewell tour number 1. But Metallica call time the first time in 2029. That's my prediction. That would make it 6 years since the release of the absolutely terrible 72 Seasons. They would be about 65, maybe 66 years old. Certainly, I think James would be at that point. And that feels to me like the right time for them to hit the brake pedal, or at least claim that they're going to. And I will bet you anything that the Megadeth comeback album gets announced in 2030. No question. So mark my words, you heard it right here. On the 3rd of November, 2025 at 1906, as I'm recording this. I said it, and I stick by it. I do think it's going to be a sad day when Metallica calls it quits, though. I mean, as much as I fucking hate 72 Seasons, and I haven't liked anything that Metallica has done for a long time, you can still see that they absolutely love it when they play live. When you go see them, yes, it's not as great as the early 90s, but maybe it's sentiment. I don't know, but there's always a part of me that's going to root for Metallica. I cannot help it. I am personally going to be sad the day that they say goodbye. I don't feel sad about Megadeth saying goodbye. My view, as I've said before, Rust in Peace, perfect album, absolutely perfect album. Couple of other records that have their moments, but beyond that, yeah, they've always been a fucking mustard burp in the wind as far as I'm concerned. Paganizer detail their next full-length offering. Swedish death metal machine Paganizer will return with their 14th long player as Mankind Rots. That's going to be released on February the 5th through Extreme Music. You can listen to the first single title track via YouTube below. Let's hear what it sounds like. That, my friends, is not bad at all. Now, this band features Roger Johansson, and if that name doesn't ring a bell, then one of the 48 active bands that he is currently credited as being a part of on Metal Archive should. Rib Spreader, Putrevore, Nathan Glover, and I listened to Putrevore's new track last week. And by the way, that is literally 48 bands. He is, according to Metal Archives, a member of 48 bands, which fucking blows my mind. And this is the even more mind-blowing fact. Of those 48 active bands, no less than 36 of them have released one or more albums in the last 5 years. So since 2020. He has released, and I double-checked this on Google just to be sure that I wasn't misreading it. He's released 40 albums in the last 5 years, which is absolutely fucking outrageous. Outrageous. I mean, this dude makes anybody doing working a 9-to-5 job, anybody in music, look like a complete and utter slacker by comparison. So kudos to him for being able to maintain that work rate. Now, what I would say, just to temper the praise, is he does have some pretty mid stuff in that portfolio that he's a part of. Rib Spreader's last album, as an example, I didn't like very much. There's been a couple of others that we've featured on the News Rant as well that I didn't enjoy, but I do like this Paganizer song. Pretty basic death metal, not bringing a huge amount new to the table. Like, you're not going to listen to this and go, oh my God, my whole entire view of the genre has changed completely. But I think it's cool. It's catchy. It's fun to listen to. It's aggressive. His vocals sound good. That Putrevore song that Nathan and I listened to, I've actually gone back to that and listened to it a few times as well. And I fucking dig it. I like it a lot. The more I've gone back and listened to it, even though the mix on the vocals is a little bit weird, and I still hold to that, I think it's cool. So I'm going to give Paganizer a thumbs up, but I'm going to give a double thumbs up to Roger Johansson because that is a work rate to be admired. 48 bands. Fucking wild. And I mean, I know he's not going into the rehearsal space with all 48, every single week, but just to be that prolific, that takes something. That takes some fucking some gonads. All right, Samael present a new song. Swiss veterans Samael are premiering a brand new single entitled Black Matter Manifesto. It was produced by the band and Valdemar Sarica, vocals produced by Daniel Bergstrand. No need to fucking bore ourselves through the entire credit list. Let's just hear what the song sounds like. I have very high expectations of Samael, and a lot of that is maybe unfair, but it goes back to my teenage years. Samael were a staple of my youth, and as much as I don't talk about them as much as as often as I would do Emperor or Immortal or Cannibal Corpse or Deicide, I mean, there's no question that Ceremony of Opposites in particular was a massive influence on me. It was one of those records that I remember specifically. I'd done an order on Nuclear Blast Records. I had, because my parents were on vacation, left me home alone. I was 15 years old, which, by the way, was fucking heaven on earth. But I remember when that notice came that I had a package waiting for me at the post office, I walked probably about 4 miles to the post office to go and collect that in the middle of fucking winter, which, it doesn't snow in Bloemfontein, but it gets fucking cold. Walked all the way back. I was so excited to hear it. And when I heard Black Trip, the first song of Ceremony of Opposites for the first time, I was just absolutely blown away. I wore that album out. And then I went back and I got into Blood Ritual and I got into Worship Him. A friend of mine brought back Passage from, I think, an overseas trip that he had been on. And that really blew me away as well. The Rebellion EP, just absolutely brilliant. And then it feels to me like after Passage, it's as though Samael felt like they had struck gold on Passage and they have tried their very best. It's like they've been chasing that feeling, the feeling of making Passage ever since that album came out. And it has just never quite worked out for them. Reign of Light that they put out in 2004, it was not bad, but it wasn't amazing. Solar Soul, again, nothing to write home about. Above, Lux Mundi, Hegemony, nothing to rave about as well. I can't remember whether it was Lux Mundi or Above that they billed as like a return to their black metal sound, but again, it was just a disappointment, and it's a shame because for a band who you can take Passage out of the equation, because I know for a lot of people that was a disappointment because of that switch to the programmed drums, the more commercially accessible sound, etc. You can take Passage out of the equation, but Worship Him Blood Ritual, Ceremony of Opposites. Those were 3 fucking incredible albums, very influential records as well. For a band to be capable of doing something that groundbreaking at that time, to have just slid into something that you feel reasonably indifferent to, is quite sad. And I got to tell you, unfortunately, Black Matter Manifesto isn't going to do anything to change that. I think if you've been a fan of the stuff that Samael's been doing over the last 15 years, you're going to be super excited about this. But I'm personally, considering the fact that their last full-length album came out in 2017, I think this is a bit disappointing. You would have expected to hear more from the band after a 7-year, 8-year absence. They should be coming out with something that shows at least some sort of creative spark or willingness to do something a little bit different. But this just sounds like, again, like they're chasing that sound, that feeling of passage. So I'm not going to give this a thumbs down or anything like that. Again, I get that if you're a Samael fan, you're going to enjoy this, but I just feel relatively indifferent towards it. And given my connection to Samael, I think that's a sad thing. That's probably the nicest thing, or the nicest way to round off that that opinion, that reaction to that song. One thing that I do absolutely not feel indifferent towards is the new Blut Aus Nord. Nathan and I did not get a chance to spin this last week. I, of course, have listened to it many, many times, so this isn't a fresh reaction, but I do need to give you 2 minutes of it. If you haven't heard it yet, the second single of this new Blut Aus Nord record absolutely fucking slaps, as the young bloods would say. It's called The Ordeal, and of course the new Blut Aus Nord album is called Ethereal Horizons. That's going to be out on November the 28th, 2025. I'll give you guys a little taste. Now, conservatively estimated, I would give that a beyond top notch. That is fucking sensational. I think part of the reason why I love these new Blut Aus Nord tracks so much, and why I am almost 100% certain that this new album is going to rate very, very highly on my list of favorite albums of the year. It has the new material, at least from the 2 songs I've heard, has hints, more than a few hints, as a matter of fact, to my favorite Blut Aus Nord records. Memoria Vetusta 2, Dialogue with the Stars, 777 Cosmosophy, and it has a bit of that kind of psychedelic touch of Hallucinogen. But I absolutely love it. I was very surprised, by the way, to learn that this is meant to be the final installment in the Disharmonium trilogy, which musically initially didn't make much sense to me, but maybe when you think about it, the intent is that the first Disharmonium record is your descent into hell. The second Disharmonium record is, being prodded by the forks and, the gnashing of teeth and the wailing of the sinners and whatnot. And then this one is kind of the light at the end of the tunnel. Maybe it's the acceptance of your eternal punishment. Who knows? Either way, this sounds fucking brilliant. Deborah Mamorti Productions actually dropped this or dropped the promo for this record in my inbox a couple of days ago. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet, but I was very excited by the note that said Vince Vaughn is now accepting interviews. And I was like, yes, finally, he's going to be on Into the Necrosphere. And then I saw, no, he's only doing emailers. So I would like to extend a public invite. I know that Vince Vaughn probably doesn't listen to this podcast, but if he does, my man, you have a open invitation to be on this show anytime, but any day of the week and twice on Sunday. You don't even have to fucking ask. Just send me an email and just say 7 o'clock Thursday, and it will be done. So, again, I know you probably have better things to do than to talk to a foul-mouthed South African. But if you'd like to, you're going to get yourself a good interview. You're on Into the Necrosphere. And by the way, guys, I am fixing to go on a tear like few others, like few before in the run-up to episode 300. Just keep watching the space. I had something confirmed this week. It's going to be absolutely fucking killer. I've got another thing that's coming up straight after that. That's going to be mind-blowing. Again, won't confirm it until it's actually done. But you guys are not going to be shortchanged in the run-up to episode 300. That is for goddamn sure. Right. I think, friends, it is probably high time we grab some bedwetting turd by the back of the neck and stick his head down the toilet. This is the Swirly of the Week.
No. Oh, you like?
All right, so this one, basically, much like many of my swirlies, writes itself. Over on the Damnation Festival forum, somebody named Andy Conway wrote, "Okay, help me out. How dodgy are Primordial?" He gets the first swirly of the week because what kind of absolute fucking nitwit. Somebody who is I looked at his photos. Somebody who's demonstrably older than fucking 16 posts something that pathetic on a fucking public forum. Why must you ask people's opinion or people's permission to listen to a band? Number one. Number two, you have got 276 episodes of Alan Averill's Agitators Anonymous podcasts that you can reference and you can make up your mind for yourself. Not to mention the thousands of interviews that he's done, including at least 2 on this. I think he's been on Into the Necrosphere twice. 2 on Into the Necrosphere. He's as far from dodgy as possible. And yet you deemed it fit to ask your fucking stupid communist comrades on the Damnation Festival forum whether or not it's okay to listen to Primordial. How dodgy are they really? But the spice continues, my friends, because the Horseman's very own Cheyenne posted, and actually, let me just scroll back a second here. Cheyenne posted I believe, very accurate, poignant comment in which he called the original post boring. And then a complete and utter soggy nappy of a man named Andreas Norden immediately responds with, "So is your shit podcast, mate." Cheyenne, I think, came back very well, he came back sharply. He said, "Sorry, mate, I can't hear you over the sound of the many legends I've hosted on said podcast." Got a lot of likes for that one. Liam Field said, "This opinion is sketch." And somebody else said, "Ignore him. Everything is Islamophobic and racist to this guy." Comment that I noticed has now been deleted. Andreas said, "What's the difference? You're still a fucking moron." Or as he would have said it, "What's the difference? You're still a fucking moron." Go onto his Facebook page, and once again, the mindset becomes perfectly clear. He's talking about destroying the patriarchy, bringing down capitalism, and acting like a good old-fashioned commie. But on this episode of Into the Necrosphere, both Andreas and his mate, Andy, can line up at the very nearest latrine because you motherfuckers are about to get dunked. That, my friends, was a short and sharp, but very well-deserved swirly of the week. All right, let's move on. Time to listen to some more music and stop talking so much shit. Miasmata, Die at the Right Time song premieres. Die at the Right Time is the second advanced single from Miasmata's forthcoming long player Subterranea, and it has debuted online. The new music output comes out this coming Friday, October 31st. Already passed, of course. Let's hear what this sounds like. That is not bad at all. So Miasmata, just to give you guys a quick bit of background, is a one-man blackened speed thrash project from Dunedin in New Zealand. It is fronted by somebody named Mike Wilson, and his previous album was called Unlight, Songs of Earth and Atrophy. I think this is pretty decent. Thumbs up, I think, from me. I like black and thrash anyway, so this is more or less right up my street. It is catchy, it is aggressive, and not as much as Australian metal would be, but I do find New Zealand kind of has that, and maybe it's just because of their geographical proximity to Australia, but they do also have that little twist to their music where it just sounds slightly off center. I'm feeling a bit of that on this track as well, and I like it. So, definite thumbs up for me. Thumbs up to the All Blacks as well for handing out a fucking, not entirely a spanking, but certainly clutching a victory from Ireland in Chicago this past weekend in the rugby. If you don't watch rugby, by the way, you guys seriously need to pay some attention to a man sport. It, of course, wasn't as vicious as the absolute murder that the South African rugby team unleashed on the Japanese in London this weekend. The Japanese rugby captain said in a press conference that apparently they were going to dominate us physically. And I think the Springboks just went, okay, mate. 61 points to 7, my friend. We'll see once we'll probably pretty soon deal with some relatively serious competition, but Japan they're gonna remember that loss for a fucking long time. Lichgate, new song streaming. Check out the new Lichgate track, Hive of Parasites, the first taste of the band's upcoming long player, Precipice. The latter is ready to hit the streets on December the 19th, 2025 through Deborah Morty Productions. Is it just me, or are there way more bands this year releasing records in December versus what there's been previously? I definitely get the sense that a lot more bands are putting out stuff like, from the end of November onwards than we've potentially been used to. Once again, sadly for those bands, including Lichgate, you're not going to make the cutoff for the Decibel Top 40, but you may potentially make the cutoff for the Into the Necrosphere Top 30. So let's hear what Hive of Parasites sounds like. So Vince Voll actually posted something about this on the Blut Aus Nord Facebook page, calling it I think he said it was a masterpiece. Matter of fact, I'm just looking at it now. He called it exceptional. I'm not going to necessarily agree with him on that. It is interesting, though. And I think, this song is 9 minutes and 58 seconds long, so I don't think 2 minutes and 4 seconds is necessarily going to do it justice. I'm not entirely convinced, but I am interested enough to want to hear more. So that's probably where I'll leave it. It's a bit too out there for me. I don't really like that kind of discordant, jazzy, progressive riffing, and especially not when you mix it with black metal. It sounds a bit, I don't know, it sounds a bit soft to me. But yeah, I'll hold off judgment until I actually hear the full thing. By the way, a lot of you, well, not a lot of you, a couple of you have sent me messages asking me on my take on the Dogma situation. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I didn't even know who the fuck Dogma were until all this bullshit started flying all over the place about, apparently it's like a band of, it looks like a load of sluttily clad lesbian nuns or something like that. And turns out it's some sort of band that was put together by some dude. It's meant to be like the female lesbian version of Ghost. Who gives a flying fuck? I don't listen to music that is mass produced like that. I genuinely hate music put together like that, actually. And so anyway, the reason why they're in the news is because now there's some sort of drama around their contract. Their manager tried to get them into the States on tourist visas when they should have been there on work visas. Of course, loads of people go, "Oh, that's Trump's fault that they're not allowed into the States." But be that as it may, yeah, I don't have an opinion because I don't care. That's my official answer. I don't like music like that. As I said, didn't know that they existed until this whole palaver fucking blew up on online. What I do find is funny is all of the simps rushing to their aid, especially on Metal Sucks, which gives you an idea of the profile of reader that religiously follows Metal Sucks articles. But one guy posted something to the effect of, "That's my perfect orgy right there." Kind of like those two dweebs that we dunked on the swirly of the week. Can you imagine how some people, or some of the stuff that people write online, how it would sound if they actually said that in person in public? Can you imagine some dude walking up to the girls from Dogma, standing next to them and going, "Hey girls, that's my perfect orgy right there." So, I don't know. And a lot of the guys, of course, jump in and go, "It's their right, girl power. Hope you guys make it, girls. Rooting for you, babes." I can't bear people like that. I absolutely cannot bear people like that. The worst thing on the face of the earth to me is a simp. What is not bad, though, is Nightside. Nightside, of course, features 1/3 of the Unholy podcast trio, and I know we're due to do a new episode at some point soon. I'm going to have to rustle the men to do that. This may end up, just based on our respective schedules, it might become a annual thing rather than a quarterly thing, as we'd initially intended. But Nightside, ink a deal with Osmos Productions. It says here, Finnish black metal unit Nightside and French label Osmos Productions are pleased to announce that they've joined forces and signed a new record deal. Very much looking forward to a new Nightside record. Big fan of Rauta, of course. And I'm very, very happy for them. Congratulations. Next up, we've got a new song by Hellripper. So it says here, Scotland's Hellripper has recently put out a brand new single or video entitled Kinchgale. The latter serves as a first glimpse of the upcoming album. Details of the latter are yet to be unveiled. I said this when I featured, when I spoke about Hellripper and their performance at Beyond the Gates. You can just tell something big is coming with this band. Like, you could tell it on stage that there was something special about them. I am almost 100% convinced Hellripper are going to be not Metallica-sized band, maybe not even a Mastodon-sized band, but they are going to be big. Like, I have no doubt about it. Says here, the band's mastermind, James McBain, says about the new music piece, lyrically, the track was inspired by my experience growing up in the northeast of Scotland in Aberdeen. I wanted to show a side of Scotland that is not necessarily the magical postcard that a lot of people picture when thinking of the country. By the way, if you hear the dog whining in the background, she has this habit. Now, she's about to turn 14. She's a Staffordshire Bull Terrier, in case you guys don't watch the videos and you haven't seen her skulking around in the background. She's about to turn 14, and for some insane reason, whenever I've got the headphones on, that's her cue to try and grab my attention and demand cuddles or whatever else she wants at the time. And as much as it annoys me when she's moaning and groaning and complaining like that, I do have to remind myself that she's getting on in years, and there is going to come a point, probably not too long from now, sadly, where I'm going to absolutely wish that I could get her whining in my ears or jumping on top of me while I'm lying in bed in the morning. So, yeah, if you hear the moaning, there's no animal abuse that takes place at this house. Quite far from it, actually. But that is her. I think one of my favorite beings, one of my favorite creatures on the face of the earth, and so exceptionally funny. Anyways. Enough of that. Enough of that sentimental crap. Let's listen to this new Hellripper track. It's called Kinchgale, Goatcraft, and Granite. Now, it might be that you need to see them live to truly appreciate them, but I think that's a cool song. And I'll tell you something, if you do see them live, you're going to know exactly what I mean. This band is destined for bigger things. No question about it. Like the tune, though, I think it's catchy. I think it's it's true to their roots while not necessarily estranging people, if you know what I mean. Like you could see this very quickly appealing to a broader audience than maybe the folks that are going to listen to a band like a blackened thrash band like Daiva. But yeah, for me, the magic is in James McBain. Like, if you see that dude on stage, he is absolutely fucking superb as a frontman. Now, on the topic of festivals, as I brought up Beyond the Gates, just a quick update on what my festival attendance is going to be like next year, just in case any of you give a fuck. So, first and foremost, I will be attending Fortress Festival on May the 30th and May the 31st of next year. That'll be in Scarborough Spa here in the UK. Fucking crazy lineup. They've got Old Man's Child, they've got Gallow Braid, they've got Dodheim's God, they've got Hordem Rife, they've got Mystierming. But most importantly, they've got Akrakoka doing my favorite album of all time, Corenson, end to end on a show. So I cannot fucking wait for that. I've been talking to the organizers at Fortress Festival about what we're going to do for the Fortress Forum. And I can tell you right now, it's going to be fucking killer. The goal with the Fortress Forum is always to do something that is, I think over the last 2 years, I think what we've learned is to try and make it as interactive as possible and to try and make it as music focused as possible. So you're not gonna be going in there listening to a lecture about the fucking power of, I don't know, some other political ideology represented in black metal. It's going to be music focused. We're going to try and make it as fun as possible. And we're already starting to line up some fucking killer names for the Fortress Forum. But the festival overall, I think, is looking like it's going to be absolutely badass. Another festival that I will definitely be attending, Beyond the Gates. And top of the list, or top of the reasons of wanting to see this, is Emperor are going to be playing, but they're not going to be playing just with Samoth and Ishan. They will also be featuring Faust and Mortis. Cannot possibly miss that. We also have Beherit, who've just been announced. 1349 are playing. Spectral Wound, 1349. Mesotheist, Concrete Winds, Sulfur Eon. So that's one I'm very much looking forward to. 29th of July to the 1st of August. That takes place in Bergen, Norway. I'm probably going to go to Incineration Fest, and I'm not going to reveal why, but there's a particular band that's been announced, that will be announced soon, and when they're announced, maybe you'll understand why I'm going to attend. I also want to see, what's his name, the Bathory tribute show, because I think, I didn't get to see that at Beyond the Gates. I think that's going to be very cool, so I definitely want to see that. So I will be at Incineration Fest as well. Another festival I just wanted to give a quick shout out to, purely because they got in touch with me. I checked out the lineup. I won't be there, of course, but I think it's worth mentioning. Heart of Winterfest. They're going to have Holder, One of Nine, Daiva, and a bunch of other bands on that lineup. So if you are in Richmond, Virginia, between January the 8th and January the 10th, I would strongly recommend that you check it out. Inter Arma are on that list as well. Skull Shitter, they're on the lineup. But I mean, Holder, One of Nine, and Daiva alone. Daiva is enough reason for me to want to check out that festival. So yeah, just thought I would give them a shout out. They seem like a pretty cool festival. Seems like a pretty cool bunch of guys. So if you want to, if you are short of a black metal festival, if you haven't had your full of live black metal, maybe that's a festival that you're going to want to attend. All right. Let's check out, or let's head over to the Democrats Guide to Rock Music Blabbermouth. First up, we've got Soulfly's Max Cavalera. For a young band starting out right now, it's very difficult. Lamb of God to be joined by Zach Sabbath, the Dillinger Escape Plan, In Flames, Guar, and others on the Headbangers Boat. I'll tell you something, I can't think of anything that I would dislike more than being on a cruise. I really can't. I when I go on vacation, I want to be as separate from people as I possibly can be. I want to be able to exert absolute control over the amount of humanity that I have to take in on vacation. And when you're on a fucking cruise, or like a lot of people go to festivals as part of their vacation, I can't stand that. Like a festival isn't work to me. It's leisure time, but I wouldn't see that as vacation. So yeah, I can't think of anything worse than being on the headbangers boat. It's just not for me. All right, what else have we got here? Metallica fans charged with trespassing after climbing the tower at the Perth show. Gives a shit. What else? Nemec have reunited. Thrilling. I will say this. I interviewed the Nemec guys when I was writing for COC, and they were pretty good. Death Angel releases music video for latest single Wrath, Bring the Fire. I think we've listened to that. It wasn't all that great. I think, folks, that's basically just about nothing else worth checking out. Go inside Philip Anselmo's personal haunted house for Halloween 2025. I hope you guys enjoyed Halloween, by the way. I had a great time this weekend. I was celebrating my wife's 30th birthday. We went to a place called the Mount Pleasant Barns in the Cotswolds. Had a fucking fantastic time. Beautiful scenery, beautiful setting, great restaurants nearby, but you're quite remote in the actual barn itself. And we had a wood-fired hot tub, drank a lot of wine, stared into the distance of the incredible countryside that you're set in. If you're in the UK, or if you're coming to the UK, I strongly recommend that you take your wife, or you take your significant other. If you want to impress them, take them to the Mount Pleasant Barns. I think that's basically about it, folks. So I think it's just about time to wrap it up. A little shorter and sharper this week than you may be used to. But I will be back next week with the mighty Nornagast from Enthroned. That is a lengthy conversation, certainly much longer than the one that I was able to have this week. But I do want to say thank you very much to Roger from Agnostic Front. Check out that new Agnostic Front album when it drops this coming week. Thank you very much to all of you for sticking around until the very end. I'm going to wrap up with a band that actually played with Agnostic Front way back in the day, way back in the early 90s. Band that should be absolutely or shouldn't be unfamiliar to anybody who listens to Into the Necrosphere Obituary. Off the album The End Complete, we're going to listen to a song called Corrosive. There's only one other thing left for me to say, and that is, whatever it is that you are doing and wherever it is that you are, my friends, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you bad motherfuckers again next week.
Becomes a new